Why are people saying that Trump's ballroom is a cover for an AI data farm, which makes no sense? I'm watching this for as long as it takes for me to feel like I've settled the issue.
Look, Trump is not building a
No
ballroom.
hate to this lady.
This much, I feel like, is obvious. I made a video about this a few weeks ago, giving my thesis of what I think is actually being built, and that video got taken down on my TikTok after about 8 million views, so I re-uploaded it here. And if you haven't seen that one yet, I recommend going over and watching that because it gives you a good basis for where we're starting out from. But I wanted to follow up on my theory, okay? Because in the original video, while I had some solid architectural analysis from Andrew Kerr, it was mostly based off of like a gut instinct, you know, in my own pattern recognition. And since then, I have been digging deep, scouring the web across databases and looking for records, and I have come back with actual receipts, like some actual verifiable public record receipts. And now my theory is stronger than ever, okay? Because I know that Trump is not building a ballroom. He's building an underground data center, and I have the receipts now to prove it. But really quick, if you want to read all of the sources and the documentation for yourself from this video, then they're all going to be linked at the bottom of my Substack, the Dre dossier, and that's going to be in the description below. And your support means the world to me, so please like this video.
I'm not irritated with her. I'm irritated with chat because it keeps getting brought up. I just want to know what she's saying.
Thinking, okay, well, where did you even come up with this idea, right? And to that, I would say, well, where does one come up with any evil genius idea? Larry Ellison, of course, my nemesis. You see, a few months back, I was doing a deep dive on Larry Ellison and his relationship with Israel and the war in Gaza. And it was during that research I came across something about Oracle building these underground data centers in Jerusalem in 2021. See, they were 9 stories deep under solid bedrock, about 160 feet underground, and designed to survive missile strikes. I mean, they were completely invisible from satellites. See, Israel needed data sovereignty, a place where their most sensitive military data could live that was physically unhackable and under complete government control. And when you're running these classified military operations, intelligence gathering, or government AI systems, you can't just have that data sitting in some commercial cloud that might be in another country or vulnerable to attack. And after learning all of that, I remember thinking to myself, all right, well, we're going to just go ahead and put a pin in this for now, right? Like, this is all really fascinating, but I don't know what to do with any of this information, but I'm sure that it'll come in handy later. And later in handy did it come, because fast forward a few months and I'm reading about Trump's new ballroom announcement, and that pattern recognition side of my brain starts tingling. Why, you ask? Well, let me just read the specs out loud to you, okay? Because Oracle's underground facilities...
Stuff like that. This to me is one of the big, I don't know, slopulism red flags. The thing that makes me most suspicious about the way in which conspiracy theories are presented is when they're meant to make you special. Like, this is the big, and it's correct, right? Like the big thing people say about conspiracy theorists. The conspiracy theorist is a person who wants to be special. This, oh, my pattern recognition, my brain tinkled, I put it together, you know? Like, it's one thing to think things are suspicious, but another thing to frame it in this narrative that's meant to be, like, emotionally satisfying. But I know a lot of people feel that way, so whatever.
Jerusalem.
Is this lady just JQing right now? No, and you're retarded. Learn what words mean. All of you need to learn what words mean. You guys are so fucking desperate to put together tenuous connections. People in chat, this is JQ slot, this is da-da-da, this is white Candace Owens. You have no idea what you're talking about. Off the bat, you're just, like, you're desperate to prejudge, okay? Learn to hold your tongue.
90,000 square feet and cost around $319 million. Trump's ballroom is about 90,000 square feet and $300 million and climbing. Curious. And then on January 21st, 2025, you have Trump's first full day in office, and Larry Ellison is standing next to him and Sam Altman, and they're giving this White House announcement about Project Stargate. Now, I'm not kidding when I say I could write an entire dissertation on January 21st, because they gave us so much information in that announcement that I feel like, quite frankly, many of us just glazed over. And I've broken it down ad nauseum in other videos and over on my Substack, but the short version is this. Project Stargate is this $500 billion AI infrastructure initiative for government operations, defense intelligence, and consolidating federal data across agencies. Because all of these AI initiatives Trump and his team keep launching need infrastructure. They need servers, power, cooling, and security. And then you look over to who's donating to Trump's ballroom project, right? And the coincidences just keep stacking up on one another. And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, if this is actually what's happening, right? If this is actually what's being built, then there's got to be some evidence somewhere.
Not a single piece of information presented thus far. I'm getting, like, increasingly irritated with people in chat brought this up. about and the people who emailed me over it.
Like, you can't just build an underground data center without leaving any paper trail. And so I start digging, right? Because the first thing I want to know is who's actually building this thing. So their lead contractor is Clark Construction. And I went to their website to see what kind of projects they normally work on. And under their critical facilities division, here's what they publicly list. So you've got National Geospatial Intelligence Agency campus, a CISA cybersecurity headquarters, UCENTCOM headquarters at MacDill Air Force Base. I'm reading all of this thinking, okay, so these guys build some serious government facilities. Like, these are no joke. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, if they're this comfortable touting these publicly listed, high security projects, then what aren't they listing? So I keep digging a little further, right?
Wait, what? That's oh my god, the fucking conspiracy brain slopulous low IQ bullshit. Fucking what? If they're willing to acknowledge they've worked on government projects, then what ungovernment unprojects have they unworked on? What?
I'm going through these different government contract registries, procurement records, that kind of thing. And then bingo, I found some redacted contracts for Clark Construction, some
redacted contracts? What?
Top secret contracts, it looks like, and you'll never guess who they're for. Well, I mean, we can't guess because they're redacted, but I mean the type of job they're for. Guess what kind of job they're for. If you guessed data centers, you'd be correct. And it's not even like one or two of these kinds of contracts.
Are there like sources being provided in the... All documents and sources are linked to my Substack. Where? If you're new here and want the full context, the investigative series with the source can be found below. Part 4B, Part 7, Part 9, Part 11?
The company that just convinced Congress to ban TikTok is also helping Oracle buy it. Well, right? Not even 3. I found 6 redacted contracts for data centers that they built around the US. And again, I'll link all of these contracts in my Substack if you want to go check them out, but they're just listed as literally confidential client data centers 1 through 6. And the client names are obviously classified because the facilities themselves, I'm sure, are classified. I mean, Clark's own description of their work says that they focus on security and survivability, reliability and redundancy, and complex critical facilities. So the company whose specialty is building classified data centers for clients that they can't even name is building the ballroom. Okay, sure, Jan, sure. And here's where it gets even more interesting, because Clark Construction holds a NAVFAC contract, Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command, with a $950 million ceiling. And the way these contracts work is admittedly very clever. So the total value of these contracts is public, but the individual task orders, like the actual work that's being done, that can be considered classified, which means they can hide the true value, cost, and scope of projects by funneling them through these pre-existing military construction contracts. So not only do they specialize in classified data centers, but they...
Not gonna lie, this is kind of a boring conspiracy. Yeah, it's like, why would the government ever need to do this? Like, the government, the Pentagon alone has a budget of $1 trillion a year. Couldn't, like, there are so many places... The government can build data centers, like, whenever they want. They don't need to, like, lie about it. The government has ongoing construction projects all over the country where they build, like, it's not really top secret. The government builds bunkers and data centers and so on and so forth. It's not, like, crazy or weird. They have to do that stuff. Every government on Earth that can afford to tries to do that. It's not even a corruption thing.
Have a mechanism to hide what they're actually building. And then on December 4th, something pretty wild happened. Trump fired his ballroom architect. His name was James McCreary, and he was this classical architect who designs these beautiful churches and historic buildings, designing buildings like the Cathedral of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Supreme Court gift shop. I mean, say what you will about the guy, but he's got range. But alas, Trump replaced him with a different architect, a guy by the name of Shalom Baranes. When I say I went to look this man up and my jaw dropped to the floor, so a little background on him. After 9/11, when the Pentagon needed to be rebuilt and hardened against future attacks, they hired Shalom Baranes. Yeah, this man designed the post-9/11 hardening project for the Pentagon, the secure wedges, the skiffs, the bomb-resistant architecture. This was all Shalom. And skiffs, by the way, are sensitive compartment information facilities. They have electromagnetically shielded rooms for classified intelligence work and are built to survive missile attacks. And it's important you know what skiffs are because this...
That's fucking crazy. Why would they ever need something like that at the White House? That's so scary. Why would they ever need stuff like that at the White... Man, you're telling me that the people involved in the construction of an extension of the White House are traditionally like government contractors that have a bunch of prior government contracts and are used to working under security clearances, you know? That's wild.
back into play a little later on. And his portfolio doesn't stop there. It gets a lot more intense with DHS headquarters, Treasury building modernization, the GSA headquarters secure facility, the CISA cybersecurity headquarters that, yes, Clark Construction also built. Yeah, so these guys have rendezvoused together before. And at this point, I wanted to see if I could take a peek at what was happening on the ground. So with my last remaining week of my free Planet Labs subscription, I looked through some satellite imagery, and what I saw astounded me. And I saw that these flatbed trucks had been photographed delivering these massive steel caissons to the site. Now, from what I understand about caissons is that they are these huge cylindrical retaining structures, basically. You use them for deep underground construction. They're designed very specifically to hold back soil and water pressure whenever you're going way deep underground. So you wouldn't use them for just standard foundation. And then I saw this heavy lift crane that was like permanently anchored into a concrete pad. I mean, that seemed to be for some long duration construction involving heavy structural materials and lifts from a deep excavation pit.
Yeah.
And all of this brought me to my next question, which is if this is actually going to be a data center, then that means they're going to need a massive amount of power because data centers consume insane amounts of electricity. So I started looking into what's been happening with DC's power infrastructure. And here is where it gets interesting. In August and September of 2025, just weeks after Trump's announced the ballroom in July, PEPCO filed emergency requests for infrastructure work near the East Wing. And this called for an emergency relocation of water infrastructure, large-scale water line modifications, and something called Champlain Substation Modernization, which I still haven't quite figured out what that means. But PEPCO's own language in the emergency filing says that there's a lack of alternative supply capacity in downtown DC. And now here's the thing about that. Downtown DC office occupancy has been declining since COVID. I mean, half the buildings are empty. In general, the commercial real estate market—
Oh my fucking god. The only possible reason that the power like available to DC, the power lines, could possibly need maintenance, refurbishing, or modernization is if they're building a fucking data center. What if the whole country does?
Market is shrinking, not growing. So where's this new massive power demand coming from? And speaking of infrastructure, DC Water increased their capital spending by $300 million, including a specific study of the Federal Triangle area. I found a post by the Washington Aqueduct, which is run by the Army Corps of Engineers, and they were warning that data centers are planning to use Potomac River water for cooling. So at this point, I've got the contractor who builds classified data centers, the architect who designs Pentagon bunkers.
They're going to divert the Potomac River's water underground. They're going to like build a channel for it to cool the... How many... Do you know, I got like 4 separate emails on this, and it's gotten brought up every stream over the past week. Some or multiple people in chat have brought it up.
Physical evidence of deep underground construction and massive power upgrades along with massive water.
Why wouldn't they just do this openly? There's no reason why they wouldn't. The government can just build data centers. The government has already built data centers. It's not new. They don't have to do it under the White House. What they are building under the White House is the standard security construction that they have for the rest of the White House. Bunkers and, you know, secret tunnels or whatever. Because of course they do that, right? That's why they're digging deep into the foundation. They don't need to build... Like, even if they were building a data center, like, what of it? What distinguishes this data center from all the other ones? Is this one, like, double evil? What's the... Oh, this one's like super secret. Okay. Wouldn't a data center at the White House be inherently less secure than any one of the thousands that we've built in actually like classified areas? Like you build one under the ballroom and like, great. Okay. You've got tons of visitors there, lots and lots and lots of people, highly public area. The next administration's just immediately like, you couldn't hide it from the next administration. Why wouldn't you just build shit? I don't know, build it in Israel, whatever. We seem to be good friends with them.
Upgrades. And so the next question I have is, who the hell is funding all of this? Trump says it's being privately funded, and the White House put out a rough list of donors, although most of the amounts from those donors is unknown. So, I mean, really, they could be donating anything from checks to cash to Bitcoin to...
The big problem with, like, conspiracy in many cases isn't the conspiracy itself. It's that it distracts you from actual conspiracies. You know what I mean? Like, the conspiracy here, in my opinion, is that liberal institutions are so weak that everyone folded just because Trump wanted a big golden ballroom with his name on it. Like, that to me is the conspiracy. It's that all of these systems in place to ensure the longevity of the country, even if we get some crazy leaders, they all completely fell apart. Like, the moment they were even slightly tested. And there are so many like implications to that. Who had to fail, how they had to fail, which corporate entities had to like give up the game, you know, which universities, which companies, whatever else. Like that to me is the interesting part. The idea that they're building some kind of fucking death ray bunker under the, well, it's just, it doesn't mean anything. It's stupid, you know?
Their own product, maybe. And when I was looking for more information about these donors, I saw that the Carrier Corporation was bragging about how they're donating an HVAC system to the White House ballroom. And so this is interesting because I looked into Carrier and I saw that they have a lot of different products. They have residential AC units, commercial systems, and all kinds of stuff listed on their website. But they also have something called Carrier Quantum Leap, which is specifically their data center solutions. Comprehensive energy efficient solutions for data center thermal management is what their website says. Now, if Carrier is donating an HVAC system and they're on a list with Microsoft, Amazon, Palantir, and all of these heavy hitters, then are they really donating a less than $100,000 ballroom AC system? Or are they perhaps donating the more expensive thing from their...
Why wouldn't they just not say anything then? Like if they're secretly, oh, we're not donating an HVAC system, we're donating a double AI center HVAC system. Why would they say anything? What's the point of any of this? Why this? Why that? None of this makes sense. Why would they do it? Why would they do it this way?
New line of solutions, the data center thermal management system, because wouldn't that be a brag to say it's our thermal management systems that are cooling the White House data center? But that did get me thinking, like if at least one company is donating a product on top of money, then I'm sure that there are others, right? I mean, who knows how many? So I decided to go through the donor list again, and this time with a different mindset, not looking for dollar amounts, but looking at what each of these companies do. And that's when I see...
Yeah, if you ever need like supporting evidence for the idea that most conspiracies fail at the first hurdle, which is why/how could they do this, just take a look at how the administration is handling the fucking Epstein files. Do you really think this administration is capable of hiding anything? Why go out of your way to discredit her without looking at the full breadth of what she claims presents? I'm just responding to the video, man. Wholeheartedly agree with claims to stretch. The claim that it's extremely hush-hush, ballroom donors affiliated with massive tech. People are claiming this is a massive breach of personal privacy information storage users. Wait, what do you say? People are claiming that this is a massive breach of personal information privacy and storage/usage? You're claiming that. What do you mean people are claiming that? People? Who's people? YouTube commenters? Many people are saying that. You're saying it. What are you talking about?
One name jump out to me on this ballroom donors list, and that's Paolo Tirmani. And many of you may not be familiar with his name, but I'm sure you know his company, Boxable. Boxable is a Las Vegas company.
I think stuff like this makes people useless human cattle, though. I think that this way, encouraging this way of thinking, reduces people cognitively and spiritually. It makes them absolutely worthless. What's the term, you know, or the saying, your brain's so open everything just falls out, or anything can fall in. True crime destroyed society. That's true. It's also like typically a reactionary thing. You know, this is novel in the sense that this is nominally left-wing, I suppose. But yeah, it is brain poison.
That makes these foldable prefab buildings, and they're about 375 square feet, and they come with electrical and plumbing already built in. Their whole pitch has been basically disaster relief and affordable modular homes. But if you start looking into what Boxable has actually been building for the government, well, it's not just disaster relief housing. That's right, I found contracts showing that they sent over 150 units to Guantanamo Bay in 2021 and 2022. That's right, they've been working on Class 5 military installations, and their SEC...
All companies are evil. You could do this forever. Guys, did you know that Amazon, Apple, Palantir, Nvidia, all of them have contracts with the government, that they've all done shady military shit? Yeah, like it's all of them. That's all the shit they do. Where do you think the military gets their stuff from? The government factory? Companies produce it. Everything, all of it. Every facility, every gun, every bullet, all of it.
filings mention government exemptions from normal state regulations, which means they have clearance to work in classified DoD sites, evidently. And that's when I saw that their units come pre-installed with Faraday caging. That's right, electromagnetic shielding, the kind of thing you would need for skiffs. Remember skiffs? I told you to remember skiffs? Because think back to Oracle's underground facilities in Jerusalem. I mean, their own documentation.
Are we really conspiracy posting over the idea that there would be electronic shielding at the White House?
shows that they use modular construction techniques for their own rapid deployment of internal infrastructure, prefabricated rooms that could be assembled quickly underground. And I'm seeing names like Caterpillar on this list where I'm sure that they've donated equipment like heavy machinery, excavators, and Caterpillar also makes industrial generators.
Yeah, construction equipment. It's a construction site. They do construction work.
3516B models that provide over 100 megawatts of backup power. Union Pacific is also an interesting donor in that light because, yes, they're a railroad company, but what many...
All right, I'm tapping out. I tried my best, but I guess we're just going to stew in this toxic slop. This is why I need to cover news less. Now, you guys, it used to be you people watch the damn channel because I would watch shitty YouTube videos and make fun of people. Now it's like, oh, hold on, not 4 hours of uninterrupted straight AP News article reading. All right, I'm out of here, buddy. I can't handle this today. My migraine gets stronger. You're weak.
People don't know is they also own 1,400 miles of classified fiber optic cables that run along the railway right of way. And it's those fiber optic networks that the Department of Defense have as their secure telecommunications backbone. And it's because they're air-gapped from the public internet. And then you've got Microsoft and Amazon, Google, Palantir, like every major cloud computing and AI infrastructure company in America that matters. You've got Booz Allen Hamilton, who builds classified networks for the CIA and NSA, Blackstone installing over 200 megawatts of backup power infrastructure. And then I started thinking about who's not on the list.
To be fair, this shit does just want to make me kill myself. It shouldn't. She's literally just listing like every company that has government contract. Did you know this company that's worked with the government has worked with the government? Also, she seems like really scared of basic shit. Like she tried to make Caterpillar construction equipment sound scary. They're literally building a ballroom. And she's like, what would Caterpillar be needed there for? Some kind of heavy construction? Yeah. Right? Right? A little bit? I assumed so.
You know, Baccarat crystal chandeliers, Versace, Hermes, Tiffany silverware, like Steinway pianos, the brands that would kill to have their name associated with the most elegant ballroom in America. I mean, the kind of luxury that screams White House state dinner. I mean, none of them are here, which is when it all kind of clicked for me because...
Wait. What?
Who's not on the list? You know, Baccarat crystal chandeliers, Versace, Hermes.
Versace isn't one of the contractors working with the White House to construct the ballroom. Isn't that suspicious? Why would they be there right now? What?
As Tiffany silverware, like Steinway pianos, the brands that
He's just going to use the same contractors that outfitted Mar-a-Lago.
Kill to have their name associated with the most elegant ballroom in America. I mean, the kind of luxury...
Also, no, I have a feeling that a lot of luxury brands probably wouldn't want to be associated with Donald fucking Trump, a known tasteless monster, you know? Like, it might cut into their brand a little bit.
That screams White House state dinner. I mean, none of them are here, which is when it all kind of clicked for me because this is clearly not a list of donors for a ballroom. This is a supply chain for a data center. And if you're still not convinced about this data center infrastructure, well, Trump basically told us. October 22nd, 2025, in the Oval Office, the direct quote was, "We're also working with the military on it because they want to make sure everything is perfect. And the military is very much involved in this." The military is very much involved in the ballroom?
In the construction of a White House extension, yeah, obviously. Dude, these people have no idea how the world works. What makes me, what I wonder is, like, is it a bit from her for money, like a grift? Or does she just not understand how the world works? Like, all these companies have government contracts. Of course they do. That's, like, there's a lot of money in that. Obviously they do. They do lots of stuff. And they're gonna be doing lots of stuff for the White House as well. Of course the fucking military is involved in it. It's the White House. Why? Another piece of evidence that everyone's 12 now, lol. Well, Jesus Christ, hide them from Trump, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. People's brain melting out their ears. It's really disappointing. It reminds me of the 9/11 conspiracism. I think there's so much conspiracism that's valid around 9/11, but it doesn't really have much to do with 9/11 itself. People have spent decades and decades and decades talking about, like, release the truth. What happened at 9/11? The truth for 9/11 was that the planes hit the damn towers. That was what happened with 9/11. It was pretty fucked up. People died, I hear, allegedly, you know? Um, but the real conspiracy is all the lies that took place after the fact to justify going to war as a way of like rebounding off the renewed public sentiment. Like that was the like you're missing the forest for the trees. Or more accurately, I guess, you're missing the unjustly initiated war and the fucking million Iraqi kids dead for the two big tall trees in Manhattan. I don't know. It's a waste of time. Your ability to critically analyze the situation has been annihilated.
Jesus Christ. Oh, well, then that explains why Pete Hegseth has been purging all of our gay service members because, you know, if there's one thing we know about straight men with a lot of testosterone, it's that they love giving their input on decorating ballrooms.
Come on. That's a weak link. That's a weak joke and a weak link. Why would the Pentagon want to be involved in the construction of a White House extension? What are they, gay? Not anymore, or something, type shit. 6'7", I don't know. My beautiful partner was on a call earlier today, like a pretty important call, you know, not like a flippant one. And I heard, because it was on speaker, the person on the end said 6.7, and it took all of my willpower to not ruin their conversation. So I guess this is me, like, unleashing that pent-up energy a little bit.
It was just weeks after Trump said that very quote in the Oval Office that they fired the ballroom architect and hired the Pentagon guy. Okay, so what does any of this actually mean? Well, I think we should go back to the underground data centers in Jerusalem, because understanding why Israel built those might tell us why Trump is building one here, allegedly, supposedly, in my opinion. So Israel built those facilities for something called Project Nimbus, which is their government cloud infrastructure. And we've seen what this looks like in practice.
Every government has these, by the way. Like, every government that is developed enough that it can afford to build this kind of infrastructure does so. Like, talking about the idea of a government, like, being surprised that a government is building data infrastructure is like being surprised they're building electrical infrastructure, you know? What is the United States hiding? Why are we building fucking power stations all across the country? I don't know, man. Maybe it's important.
Right? I mean, the AI system that Israel's using in Gaza, the targeting systems, the surveillance infrastructure, the operational decision making, and that all runs on this underground.
No, it's not just that. It's just government data. It's just government data. Like, all governments need, like, governments use systems that you need to store data, and you need a place to store the data, and you probably don't want to store it on, like, I don't know, fucking server that's hosted in India or something. You probably want it local. Every government does this. It's not special.
Data center network. I mean, we're talking full AI takeover, military operations, intelligence gathering, government AI information systems like banking, critical infrastructure controls, everything that keeps the country running.
Yeah, everything.
And they put it 9 stories underground because they needed it to survive, not just survive a power outage or a cyber attack, but to survive a war. I mean,
yeah, that's normal. If there was a war, you would not want all the records of the government to be annihilated. Did you know the United States, we've talked about this before because it's been brought up a lot lately, but the US government, like, basically everything that we keep in records, we have a paper trail of. There's a physical record of it, and it gets buried in a mine, basically. There are, like, mountain mines where we've hollowed out the rock, and fucking 2 miles underground with just fucking an unfathomable amount of documents that we keep stacked in there. Yeah, it's next to where we hold the cheese.
Needed it to survive missile strikes and keep running no matter what happens above the ground. Because when you have your entire government running on AI systems, that is now the brain of your country.
No, it's just you really don't want the entire storage and operational digital infrastructure of your country to fall apart because of one terrorist attack or a war. That's very normal. It has nothing to do with, like, the governments were doing this before AI, like, really became a thing. This is not nefarious.
And you have to protect the brain of your country with a thick, thick skull. That's what data sovereignty looks like. That's continuity of government. And that's what AI warfare infrastructure actually looks like. And then I'm looking at Project Stargate, announced on January 21st, 2025, Trump's first full day in office. And Larry Ellison is going on and on about this $500 billion AI infrastructure that's going to save the government and cure cancer. But all of these...
Which was which was fake. I mean, he was just saying that, like, he was just saying that because he wanted to justify the degree of fraternization that he was engaging in with the White House. Like, there's not actually 500 billion getting invested.
Grandiose ideas surrounding AI, all of that needs a home. And that's why I think it has to be at the White House specifically, because when infrastructure is a part of the executive office of the president, then it has to be classified, protected, exempt from oversight.
The only way to protect a data center is to put it directly under the White House ballroom. Sure. Jesus Christ, man.
And the president has to have direct access to it.
What, like physically? Are you kidding me? Listen, it just makes sense, okay? If you didn't build the data center at the White House, how would the president go down there and flip the switches and pull the big lever and hit the buttons that would print out the, like, ticker receipt that would tell him what to do as the president, you know? If you can't touch the AI, the big fucking server farm, then how is it going to relay information to you? It just makes sense.
And lest we forget, the East Wing sits directly above the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, the PEOC bunker. It's 5 stories deep, staffed 24/7 by military offices. And by demolishing the entire East Wing, they removed every structure blocking access to that bunker. And now they can expand it and go deeper or integrate new infrastructure if they'd like. And because it's at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, executive privilege covers all of it.
Yes, they will not be publicly disclosing all the details on the secret president bunker that is meant to help the government survive a nuclear war. That is true. They're probably not going to give us all the deets on that.
Think about it. The president controls what gets disclosed and what doesn't. I mean, this is what the government running on AI, with all of that power consolidated under executive control in a facility that can survive anything and Congress can't audit, looks like. And look, I'm sure
it's been like this forever, and every government has bunkers under their respective executive buildings, or at least they should. Why wouldn't you? Of course you would have that. It's all normal.
they'll build a ballroom on top. You know, they'll host.
I can't believe she said that the data center needs to be somewhere where the president can access it. That's so fucking funny. That's really she's making the data center sound like it's an eldritch god that the president needs to go down and like commune with or something, and not like something that sends and receives information at the speed of light from anywhere in the country.
Eat dinners and take photos with world leaders in gowns and tuxedos, and maybe it'll even look fabulous. But don't kid yourself about what this was actually built for, because the ballroom isn't the project. The ballroom is the lid.
All right, well, that was awful, and I think that this video has made the world stupider, and this fills me with more despair than any number of, like, J.D. Vance clips where he winks at the camera and then says it's going to be all white while giving the OK sign or something, you know? Wouldn't really be surprised, though, if something like Russ Vaught or Stephen Miller told Trump he'll get a ballroom as long as they get in secret underground weapons. There are no secret underground weapons aren't a thing. Data centers get built all the time by the government, and they are secret because that's the point of them. But it's not like they're building a bunker under the ballroom for sure. It's not interesting, you know? Like, she just doesn't understand how basic stuff works. She was like, why would the military be involved in an extension of the White House? Fucking what? Why do you think? Because it's a military site. The president's the commander-in-chief. Have you been to the White House? I've been to D.C. The whole fucking building is a bunker. The whole area surrounding the White House is a fortress. They've got tank traps. They've got, like, security checkpoints everywhere. There are men with rifles standing at every corner. There are a bunch of sight lines that you can't see. There are anti-air weapons embedded in the ground so that if a rogue plane flew overhead or tried to 9/11 the White House, it would be vaporized before it made contact. Like, all of this shit already exists. It's a military site. I thought the White House could get up on its legs and move. It probably could do that. We don't know for a fact whether or not it could do that. Yeah. Weren't you checked by agents because you verbalized that while in D.C.? Yes. The ballroom is a cover-up. The ballroom isn't the project. The ballroom is the lid. Just an FYI, if the military is involved, it involves taxpayer dollars, so it's not free. Yeah. Went from this is alarmist bullshit to oh fuck, she's cracked the case in less than 10 minutes. Nicely done. Ah! Now, this is journalism. Of course, traditional media isn't looking into this. Whenever I see stuff like this, I'm reminded that I need to have a nuanced position on the value of traditional mainstream media as compared to independent media. Because people will be like, dude, mainstream media won't tell you all the facts. Mainstream media is hiding the truth from you. And then turns out they watch Joe Rogan.